Best Friend Fight Club. This episode was recorded on September 7th, 2024. Let's get into our second episode. Hey dude, what's up?
Hey man, not much. It's been a few weeks, I think, since we did this last. I don't know, when did we record last?
It's been over a month.
Has it been that long, man? Shit just flies by. Well, I had to go back to work, so now I'm doing that, teaching again. And then I went back to work and immediately got strep. Like the first day or so back, so that sucked. But I made use of those internet antibiotics, so I could avoid paying a $300 doctor bill. So that was cool. And I self-diagnosed myself, and you got it right this time. I got it right this time.
You got it right last time too. So what, you're like 2 for 2 now?
I'm 2 for 2 now, diagnosing myself and ordering antibiotics online. It's totally a normal thing.
Yeah. Well, dude, my daughter started school, pre-K, so she brought home a bunch of shit.
Did she get sick?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we all got sick.
Oh.
Of course, not all at the same time.
Yeah, because she hasn't been in daycare or anything, so this is a new experience.
Yeah.
She gets to get all the illnesses.
Yeah, it's like she's like a walking petri dish. But yeah. And then, we had the holiday weekend. We're going to make excuses for ourselves. It's not like we've been slacking off. And I had to learn how to edit. And you had to come and save the day.
Oh, I did. I did like a tweak. A tweak, right?
A tweak. Yeah. A tweak. So good reasons.
Yeah.
Good excuses.
But you know what? We're not promising anybody that this is an every week, every 2 weeks. We are waiting.
Oh, you didn't listen to the outro then. I said it was a bi-weekly podcast.
Oh, well, you know what? Fuck.
Yeah, that's all right.
Well, we are about quality, not quantity.
Yeah.
Okay, so podcasts will come out when they're ready. And sometimes...
Hopefully on a bi-weekly basis.
But you can't rush art. Okay?
Yeah, you're right. So, let's just roll right into it, man. The adventure of me saying I'm going to kick your ass. And immediately after you left,
I
went camping to a nice cold spring river.
Okay.
Relaxed my muscles. I was pretty purple.
Were you? Yeah, I mean, we had a pretty hard week of regular exercise and fighting,
Yeah. And then after that, it took like 2 weeks for the practice sword to come in. So I was pretty much just continuing to walk and run and all that. And the practice sword came in and was hitting the pel. I was like feeling like I was fucking awesome. Got a practice shield in and was like just doing all the things, thinking I was cool. Went to a practice, went soft kit. I think I did like 8 fights. And of those, like I for sure won 6 of them.
Maybe explain to the listeners what soft kit is.
Yeah, so it's just like, I don't know, padded stuff. It's a lot more blunt. It hurts still, but it's, I don't know. You explain that. I don't know. It's just something you hit people with.
So, so soft kit is basically you're going to do sword fighting, but you're going to use soft-ish weapons, but you're not going to use really any protection. Mm-hmm. So they bruise, they'll bruise you, but they won't break you. But it's a way that you can practice out of armor and out of the heat that would otherwise kill you in a Memphis summer.
Yes. So anyway, went back after I went with you where I lost 3 of the fights and couldn't even finish them and just kind of stayed in the rink for a while or the list. And it was awesome. For sure. There was 2 I absolutely lost, and they were my last 2. The last being I was just tired. No one had been fighting as much as I had been, and then one was longsword, but you didn't even had received no training on. I just wanted to keep fighting, and that was the guy's his condition was like I'll fight you, but you have to do longsword.
Remember though, man, there's no winning and losing in practice.
No, yeah, there is.
Practice is about, freeing yourself to experiment and try things out. And sometimes you got to do shit that's weird just to get the hang of it. And that means maybe you get hit more that round.
You're right.
Or else you're going to get yourself in a box.
That's what I would consider myself. That was the high of the training. And today, I don't know.
So today was your first time, right? In a full suit of armor.
Yes.
Actually hitting people with steel weapons and getting hit by steel weapons.
Right. And so it was with the Memphis Armored Fight Club. They did an expedition event where they went to some Squire club, ran by, just very similar to like the Shriners. And they just did like an exhibition event. They did like a history demonstration, all that stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'll show up. If you let me get into armor, I'll do it, And so Rusty, the guy who runs it, was like, sure, we'll put you in armor. And so, the loner armor, you're familiar with this.
Well, so I've watched the video now of this, and about half of that loner armor is the same loner armor that has been there since I was in the club, 5-6 years ago. We still had half of that kit you were wearing. So I'm kind of familiar with it. Yeah, you had the really heavy black helmet. That helmet's been there. That helmet's got like 7 years on it, and it's still going strong. But I do recall that helmet being probably like 18 pounds.
The helmet was tough. But then I had like the titanium. The rest, I think I had mostly titanium other than the helmet.
So that's nice.
So
the torso
so it was very
titanium.
Light. But then just like there was gaps, and he's like, oh man, I can't send you in with the gaps. I'm like, dude, just send me in with the gaps. Like I just want to fight,
It's like, do you see what Nick wears?
Yeah, I know exactly. And I'm just like, I'm like, it's fine. Just send me in with gaps. And he's like, I'm not going to send you within gaps. So then like ended up getting like these like under. The terms. Something I didn't think like you wear. It was between the pauldrons and the elbow.
Pauldrons and a rear brace?
Yeah, the rear. Do you wear a rear brace?
The tiny little skinny bar one that I use for goals. That's like
this thing was like
barely a piece of armor.
So this was like my entire like forearm. And so I was like, okay, whatever I got to do, whatever you say to get me an armor. And loner armor is great, but now like even just wearing the bits and pieces that I had of yours, it was just like I was very just like, oh wow, Nick was right, and I didn't want him to be right. We were like, yeah, man, you're gonna have all this form and technique, and you think you're awesome, and you're gonna get an armor, and it's gonna go out the window. And I was like, I'm gonna prove Nick the fuck wrong. And no, I put this armor on, man, and it's just like, especially like strap the shield down and have like. My whole left hand I could not move my arm.
Just drop it, right? It's just like either you can't move it or like the weight. It's just you think you're holding it up high enough.
Yeah,
and it's just not. It's just not high enough.
And that's exactly what happened to me. And you saw the video, so let's just hear it. Let's see what you think of the video.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna play it here so I can commentate on it as it plays here.
Oh, I'm just gonna go away for a second.
Your shield's consistently a foot below your head. This entire fight so far. Now you got the shield up in his armpit, but not protecting your head. Probably because the helmet's heavy, and you're trying to keep your balance here. Because if you duck under, you might kind of keep rolling forward. You did shot 3. You almost took yourself out with shot 3. Actually, like you swept and you kept moving with the sword. It was like the weight of the armor and the sword here is actually pulling you forward. You threw your sword. I think it was off of a strike too. I'm guessing. See, this is your first experience with gauntlets too, and holding a weapon, so you're getting used to the awkwardness here. You're trying to do that shot 2-4 combo that you love, but as you're doing it, you're getting hit in the head.
Yeah.
So is that that was your only round?
No, there was another round
another
after
one?
that, and I will say it got considerably better because I
Okay.
did one of this awkward like pumped my arm out.
Yeah.
And I could then at least hold the shield up a little bit higher. It was just all those components just like somehow binded, and just like if I like brought my arm down, then I could like lean this way because it pushed the chest like pushed up.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah,
like the chest was pushing up into my neck.
There's definitely components where it's like, so one, your coda plates, the straps that go over your shoulders might have plates. And as you try to lift your shield arm up, those plates are pushing down on your shoulder, making it that now you're not just lifting a shield anymore. You're lifting all the weight of the coda plates that's on that shoulder has to go up too. So
and it's pushing up on that helmet.
yeah, and you
Like
got the
the
helmet, you got
helmet.
the mail of the helmet, the padding of the helmet, all of that shrugging up there. So your shoulder muscles on that side are really going to be like they're holding 15 to 20 pounds above your head consistently without dropping.
Yeah.
That's really, it's not just like the 6-7 pound shield. It's now all those other elements put into it. But that's pretty consistent. I mean, that's why I knew that would happen, because I've now witnessed a good 20 plus new people come in over these years, and they always have the same issue. It's always the shield dropping, and then, grip control of the sword and such. And that's a gauntlet thing where you can't hold it the way you don't have the freedom of your pinky. Your two smallest fingers, you don't have the freedom to really grip the way you want to in gauntlets with those. So most of the time you're kind of like grabbing something like this, or you're gorilla gripping it.
Yeah, which is just like so weird.
Flat.
And I had just been spoiled because you've got really nice stuff. So that was my expectation. Yeah. And the loaner armor is great. I'm really grateful that it was available. And then I put it on and like, oh, this is not Nick's stuff. Though I did get to put titanium on, so I was pretty fortunate there.
Some of your stuff.
Everyone says, that
coat of plates was titanium, right? That one you were wearing.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So overall, it was fine.
So it wasn't as bad as the loaner could have been, because back in the day when I was in the club, our loaner gear was all mild steel. It was the heaviest possible. Like those, some of our coats of plates were 20 plus pounds just on your body.
Yeah. No, it wasn't necessarily the weight. It was just the range of like mobility. And it was like I had put the stuff on, and they were like, all right, put your helmet on, you're going in. Like I didn't even really have the opportunity to be like, what do I have? But no, the legs felt great. The weight was fine. They sent me home with a wood shield so I can practice with that instead of the soft kit shield.
That's good.
Because,
to get that shoulder muscle. So mine over the years, man, like my side is so asymmetrical now, because like the shoulder muscles on the shield side are like noticeably more developed than my sword side shoulders. I just need completely different muscles on the two. So like my forearm and stuff on my sword side is more developed than my shield side.
So there wasn't that many fights today. Then they were finally like, hey, we're going to close out with something fun where you just go in with no arm. What do you call it? Like fisticuffs or something?
Oh, is that they're just like punching, just boxing in armor?
Yeah. And then just like trying to take each other down. And I'm like, sure, I'll do it, whatever. And at that point, I just had nothing. I just had gauntlets. I had gotten rid of everything but the pauldrons. And so like, that's the only real bruise I have.
Okay.
Is from that, just getting punched right there. And we go in, and there's guys that have like 70 to 80, maybe even 100 pounds on me.
Yeah.
On like either corner. And then from me is the 18-year-old kid. I forgot his name. And he's my best matchup. So like we go in, and I didn't strap my helmet on. Nobody did. I was like, oh, we're like, whatever. Like these are like, we're just punching each other. So I go in there, and immediately he like punches me right here. Helmet comes
like
flying
an uppercut.
off. Yeah, like an uppercut, and he like grabs it and is like just trying to like pull me by the helmet and push me down. And it comes off, and he continues hitting me and doesn't realize that my helmet fell off until I'm finally just like this, just like putting my hand on my temple, because I'm like, he can hit me anywhere else, just not my temple. So they stop the fight. Rusty's like, what the hell, guys? Like they're like, put your straps on. And everyone else is like
fucking amateur
just,
hour.
And it wasn't just me. Like, it was everyone's like, oh, okay. You know, so we put the straps on.
Straps of their helmets on.
So I'm thinking, okay, cool. I made it over to this corner. We're just going to start the fight where it ended. You know, like we're going to restart here.
Yeah.
No, he's like, get back in your corners. So I'm now once again pinned behind these big, you know, these guys I'm just like terrified of.
Yeah.
Because like, I know I'm not going to be the last man standing. I at least just want to go to the guy that like I know I have a chance with. So I like start to go over there.
No, you should have picked the biggest dude, man, and fought him.
Oh, that's pretty much what happened.
Do in prison.
And so they're coming in on me, and I'm like, fuck, whatever. I'm just going to turn my back to one and just punch this other guy and let him throw me on the ground. And he's like, we're grappling. And like, I reach around like with my left hand, like a really good solid punch to his helmet. And I break the strap off his helmet and his helmet comes off. So I was like, fuck. And they were like, yeah, that's a knockout. I'm like, yeah, you know, like we got one.
Yeah.
So they get him out.
Great.
Yeah. Hey, I'll take it. It was because of me. And I turn around and I go back for the guy I went for originally. And yeah, he just like grabbed me by the back of the helmet and threw me down, and my neck still hurts from that big ass helmet.
Yeah.
So I rolled.
It can't hurt more in the helmet, that's for sure.
So I rolled out of the list, and he starts fighting. So it's just a big matchup, and they fight, and then his helmet ends up coming off as he rolls on the ground. So we look like a bunch of idiots because our helmets kept flying up. What are you guys doing?
Why are you all losing your helmets?
3 of us lost helmets in that fight. So it was like, yeah, let's do a demo of us just losing our shit. Me throwing a sword. So
you guys need to tighten your chin straps. What is happening?
Well,
get some better leather.
Yeah, that's what it is. So, but it was fun. Anyway, I know it was a long explanation, but that's like a month of progress.
I'm guessing you broke his helmet because you're using loner gauntlets, and they're probably fucking sharp as hell. They're probably sharp too, like because they've been hit a bunch. And they're probably not being like refined and like filed and stuff. So all of like the edges of the metal probably has like dents and like jagged metal at this point, and just cut. So
that was straps. Fun. But I'm pretty pissed off.
Like
I just like, huh? I did have a good time, but now I'm like pissed off. I like almost didn't want to record because I just like wanted to go hit the pellet with that shield and like punish myself because I just felt like he just kept hitting me in the head, and I just like knew why, but I couldn't do a damn thing about it. Like it wasn't like no, it was like I was like I can't.
I will say this: it's even harder to protect your head when you're going for low strikes yourself because you're bending down and just your anatomy just doesn't want your shoulder to lift like that. So it's easier to defend your head while you're in a standing guard. If
you watch him fight too, I was way out. Like he was way bigger than me.
Yeah, he was taller. He was taller than you. So
and so he would just push that. Like he just got on top of that shield and pushed down, and I was just like done.
He just went tap 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 tap.
And I could, and then finally just like had to push him away from me.
Yeah, so, on the top. But he didn't have to do that if you didn't just go leg whack 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 at the leg. But I know you love that. You love the.
He was so tall, man. Like there was no getting up there.
Just hit his arms, man. Just
you're right.
There's a lot of other stuff. There's more than just his head. He's a big man.
Lesson learned.
So this is your first time getting hit in the head, then. So did you feel any ring? That helmet's pretty padded, so that one you probably didn't, right? It's pretty.
No,
good.
it didn't hurt at all. I feel great. Yeah, I went and got some volleyball knee pads, and then just protected my knees and my head.
Awesome, and you only got that. Well, that's a good thing. You got hit in the head a lot because that's the most protected area too. So as far as bruising goes, man, if those would have all been leg shots, you probably would have had something to show for it.
Maybe, I don't even think he really hit me in the leg. Maybe but once.
Yeah.
So,
nice.
But anyway,
well, man, I'm back to doing training and stuff again. My judo started back up again. They didn't have classes in the summer, so back at judo. Do that every week. Back still doing Muay Thai every week. So be keeping up with that. Had to take 2 weeks off when I was sick, so I didn't get everybody else sick. And then doing some sword fighting. I did some training with a buddy doing pro fight training last weekend, but I beat the hell out of his leg so bad that like he could barely walk for the next week at work because it was just like complete black, like from his entire thigh to knee. So he had to take a week off this week to recover. But then I fought another one of my local guys today, so that was nice. But we were doing just sword and shield stuff. No pro fight because we have like a massive weight difference. He's like he's like 230 some, 240, and I'm 165. So it doesn't really work with us doing the pro fight stuff with each other. It would just be me running away, hitting him, like sniping him, and
which is just sword and shield anyway.
Yeah, at that point, it's just sword and shield with running.
Yeah.
So it doesn't work well as a pro fight, but my other dude's pretty close to me, so that was a lot of fun because rolling around on the ground and stuff and punching, kicking and stuff is always a lot of fun.
Yeah, sweet. The Memphis guys were pretty much like, we just went like, hey, we're going to acquire our own personal soft kit stuff, and that way we can just kind of practice with each other throughout the week as we become available.
Yeah.
So that'll be nice. Yeah.
Nice.
So.
Well, that's cool. So after wearing a full suit of armor, when it comes to a piece of armor that you would want for yourself because it was the most aggravating part of the loner armor, what piece do you think was the most annoying piece that you would want to have your own first?
Dude, it all bound up here. Like I don't know what specific component. I can't even remember. Like the wrist right here was annoying because it shoved into the gauntlet because it didn't fit me. So then like I couldn't even rotate my wrist.
Yeah. Because
it was just all, and it was cutting me.
So your van brace, your forearm protection.
Yeah. So I would, and then the under, whatever the hell that was.
Okay.
Yeah. Those would be the first. Yeah. The gauntlet's fine. I would just, because I know the gauntlet's important, but I would just like, yours even feel way better than these did. So.
Yeah.
And the helmet. That one was like way too big and heavy.
Those are your most aggravating pieces. Yeah, it's always interesting to see like what bothers people the most when they're using loner
Legs
armor.
felt great. Yeah. The plate, I'm sorry, man. But the plate felt fine, but it was also long. Like I felt like it did go up too high and like under my chin too much. Mm-hmm. But anyway, yeah.
Cool.
So helmet and just all arms. Yeah. So, but you can't just get all arms at that point because you got to get pauldrons. They all some tie to each other. I don't know. I was just kind of standing still while people tied stuff to me.
Yeah. So basically, arms. Arms would make your life better.
Yeah, arms for sure. Okay. So legs I could live with.
Yeah, they didn't look too bad, and the Coda plates didn't look too bad. So nice. There you go. You've broken into the world of armored combat. Yeah.
Anyway, I was feeling like I was going to get you until I put that suit of armor on, and now I'm back to just brought me down a little bit.
That's good.
It was humbling. That's what needs to happen.
So. Well, man, when you come to visit in November, so hopefully you can use some loner armor.
Yeah, hopefully so.
But that would be a good time.
Hopefully you have some random pieces that fit me a tiny bit better too.
I have some random shoulders and random rear braces, so at least I got that.
The rear braces, those were what did me in. Yeah, so
yeah, I can get you in something. You probably still have to use that sucky van brace. I can give you a better gauntlet to use.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah. We'll see. I haven't asked Rusty yet, so we'll see if he'll let me bring that stuff.
I think it's closer. I don't pest him now, but he probably will. He's a chill dude.
All right, man. Well, it looks like you've got a segment written. What's it called?
Yeah. So let's get into some time well spent. Man, so time well spent. This is a segment that we discuss how to live an authentic life. You wouldn't get that from the title, right? Time well spent. Maybe we need a better title. What the fuck are we doing? Why is this the title? But anyways, time well spent is about how to live an authentic life. And for today's time well spent, I'm talking about inauthenticity. And I'm coming from the point of view of some students who were giving me shit because they said that I was eating off-brand Pop-Tarts. And I hear this off-brand phrase all the time as a classroom teacher of junior high students. And here's the situation. So I come in with some Pop-Tarts. They're Nature's Path organic frosted toaster pastries. Cherry pomegranate flavored. That's what I brought in.
Yeah.
And they said, you got some off-brand Pop-Tarts? What are you eating? And I'm like, I'm eating some cherry pomegranate toaster pastries. And they're giving me shit as if I'm some type of some poor pauper or something who can't afford to buy the name brand Pop-Tarts. And so I'm questioning at this point. I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck do these kids even know about Pop-Tarts? They don't know anything about Pop-Tarts. What makes them think that the Pop-Tarts from the Pop-Tart brand are better than any other Pop-Tart? Right, I could be actually using a store brand Pop-Tart. I could be eating that. But then who's to say that the name brand Pop-Tarts are better than that? But the reality was, I'm over here eating the fucking bougie organic Pop-Tarts, toaster pastries now, because we can't call them Pop-Tarts, but toaster pastries. And I'm getting shit, and they think that I'm out here eating the knockoff Pop-Tarts, when instead I'm making a choice to have these Pop-Tarts because I want some pomegranate in my Pop-Tart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's not crazy, right? My Pop-Tarts...
No, that's not crazy at all.
My Pop-Tarts cost $4.19 at Target. So let's just look at this, because they're looking at me like I'm the poor schlum here. Mine are $4.19. Typical Pop-Tart, regular name brand Pop-Tarts are $2.79. Okay? So who's the bougie motherfucker right now, kid?
Yeah.
But this isn't about money. This isn't about money. So to me, what's crazy is that this illusion of luxury and that every other Pop-Tart must therefore be subpar to the traditional Pop-Tart. So where is this illusion coming from? Because theirs is filled with fructose corn syrup and only 2% fruit, and my shit's fucking real. So where is it coming from, right?
The aggressive marketing campaigns. That's where it's coming from.
Aggressive marketing campaigns, man. So that's what we're here to talk about. I'm here to talk about Guy Debord and the Society of the Spectacle. Okay? So Guy Debord is a philosopher. He refers to this idea of the spectacle, which is the domination of social life by images, media, consumer culture, and it happens in the late stages of capitalism. And basically at this point, authentic relationships are replaced by representations of reality, which are created and controlled by capitalist interests, such as corporations, the media, etc. You're no longer eating Pop-Tarts based on which brand tastes better to you. In the spectacle, you're purchasing Pop-Tarts that define you as a person, or rather the image or appearance you want to be represented by. And this only further alienates us from being authentic. And that's what this segment is about. It's about authenticity. Was that too serious? Was that too serious about Pop-Tarts? So anyways.
No, man.
A quote.
I'm just tickled because I know where it started from. Like my hand's right where this all started from. But keep going.
So anyways, a quote from a movie that summarizes Guy Debord's The Spectacle very well, perfectly. It's from Fight Club, which you probably still haven't watched, but it's fantastic. So anyways, the quote says, like everyone else, I had become a slave to the IKEA nesting instinct. If I saw something clever, like the coffee table in the shape of a yin and yang, I had to have it. I would flip through catalogs and wonder, what kind of dining set defines me as a person? And that is the Pop-Tart. That is the spectacle of the Pop-Tart. What kind of Pop-Tart do I want to eat? Because what kind of person do I want to be?
Right.
So this ties into what's called the pseudo-participation. So Debord argues that the spectacle gives people the illusion of participation through the consumption of what they choose to buy. They get an illusion of, I am choosing to buy this product. And that's my choice, and it represents me. Whether it's through voting, social media, or buying products, people believe they are participating in society. In reality, They're engaging in a commodified, pre-constructed form of participation that only reinforces the status quo. Your option is, you think you're getting to choose to buy the name brand Pop-Tarts because they're better? No, you bought that because you have been tricked to buying that, because marketing and ideology has led you to the point of wanting to buy that Pop-Tart, because that Pop-Tart is an idea, not just a toaster pastry. Unless you're buying, the Nature's Path organic, but even that's a fucking ideology, right? Because if you're buying it because the term's organic on the box, you're also buying an idea that's more than just a toaster pastry. So if you thought you were making free choices in the checkout, when you're in the aisles of the grocery store to choose the name brand Pop-Tarts over the store brand or the Nature's Path organic, as I tend to prefer, but really your choice, as Marx says, is called commodity fetishism, where the goods are not seen in terms of their utilitarian value, but rather just as the symbols of status. Am I still crazy yet? Am I too far crazy for toaster pastries?
Yeah, man. Like I said, I know how this all started. So, yeah, you're going crazy, man.
So, okay, it's just Pop-Tarts. It's just Pop-Tarts, right?
Yeah, I think you just got your feelings hurt by your students, man.
Perhaps it's just Pop-Tarts, but man, it doesn't stop at toaster pastries. Here's the thing. The kids are so focused on all these fucking ideas of what things represent. They're coming and talking about their Lululemon yoga pants, their Birkenstock sandals. Not even peanut butter is safe, man. The verdict's not determined as to whether Jif or Skippy is the ideal representation of the luxury status. But the point is, even our kids are not safe from ideology and unconscious manipulation. So Edward Bernays, do you know who Edward Bernays is, man?
A famous philosopher.
He's actually not a philosopher. Edward Bernays was related to Sigmund Freud, and he is the guy who invented marketing. Like, he is the reason. He's the guy who worked on the posters, the I Want You posters for the military. Mm-hmm. He is the father of public relations and propaganda. So he talked about this idea of marketing being the manipulation of the unconscious. So Bernays believed that by tapping into people's unconscious desires, such as their need for status, security, belonging, marketers could influence behavior in ways that appeared natural. He emphasized that people could be made to want things they didn't need by associating products with symbols that evoke emotions and social identity. And that's what's happening to our kids, man. Because when I ask students, why do you want Lululemon clothing? They can't respond. They can't tell me why they want it. If I say, why do you want a Stanley water bottle? What makes it better than a Yeti? They don't know. They don't know why they want it. So without a doubt, they're being unconsciously manipulated because they can't explain the authenticity of these desires they have. So I guess the moral of the story is, when you find yourself compelled to have some type of preference for a product, as everyone does, you're going to have to start reflecting critically and ask yourself, why do I want this thing? And if you cannot answer that simple question, you are likely the victim of unconscious manipulation and commodity fetishism. Okay, so I don't want to be a hypocrite. So Austin, go ahead, ask me, why do I want Nature's Path organic frosted toaster pastries instead of Pop-Tarts?
Hey, Nick. Why do you want Nature's Path organic frosted toaster pastries instead of regular old Pop-Tarts? Is there a reason for that? What's your motivation?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah?
Because I'm fucking authentic.
You're fucking authentic?
Fucking authentic. They have pomegranate flavor. It's tart, but it has a hint of natural sweetness. Nobody else has that flavor. Okay? No one else has pomegranate. Next. They're made from whole wheat flour. Mm-hmm. It tastes earthy. I like the earthy taste in my carbohydrates. Okay? They actually taste like fruit because they're made from fruit. Pop-Tarts are only made from less than 2% of actual fruit. And it shows because they have no fucking potassium and iron. Very, very little. The ones I get have over 3 times the amount of potassium and iron. Okay? Because it's coming from the fruit. So that's my reason. The end.
Okay. I got another question for you. Not even scripted.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
Why didn't you go on this tangent whenever you offered me your off-brand Pop-Tarts? They were not in the box. You handed me this Pop-Tart that was in a very thin, unmarked aluminum foil. And I said, man, I don't want your off-brand Pop-Tarts. No, you went back. You simmered. You let it build up. You made sure that you had a valid argument and just lined up. It took you a month. Why didn't you say it then? Is that why? Were you not prepared?
I had to formulate my thoughts, man.
You're not witty?
Well, because you're not the only one. You're not the only one, man. This has been building up because like I said, even a student said they were off-brand Pop-Tarts before. So
I was only joking. I didn't want toaster pastries at the time. So
yeah, but you missed out, man, because they're pomegranate and they're delicious.
I like brown sugar.
Yeah. I grew up having the brown sugar Pop-Tarts. I wish the company that makes the ones that I like made that, but they don't. They make lots of other fruit ones that are also unique fruit flavors that you usually can't get. So I do like all of them. But a brown sugar would be nice.
Well,
if you're listening, Nature's Path Organic, make some brown sugar.
Do you think so?
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, sponsor us too.
Sponsor the podcast. Yeah. Nature's Path. I mean, I just went on like a long fucking rant throughout Guy Debord and Marx, okay? I don't know if you want to be associated with those guys, but Nature's Path Organic, there you go.
Just send us some Pop-Tarts. I mean, toaster pastries. Pay us.
Pastries.
Hey, and
not Pop-Tarts.
And man, we can't listen to you go on a tangent for 20 minutes and not at least mention the pop culture movie that came out recently with Jerry Seinfeld, all about Pop-Tarts. You aware of that movie?
I did. I watched it.
Did you like it?
I mean, it was entertaining. I found it interesting.
I got about halfway through it.
I enjoyed the silliness of it.
I got about halfway through it, and I was like, man, I'd just rather be watching Seinfeld right about now. So I turned it off and turned on Seinfeld.
And you put on Seinfeld?
Yeah. So.
You're like, yeah, you were a lot funnier in Seinfeld.
I wouldn't say
he
that.
Probably wasn't the funniest one. I would say in Seinfeld, though, I think I enjoyed every other character more than him.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. But he tied it together well. So I just went, So that's exactly how I did. I was like, no, I'll just turn on Seinfeld. And I did. And I don't regret it. But anyway, that's it.
Well, I guess it's just for you to chip in, though. Have you come in contact with any people like this, that are very much enraptured by an idea of a product and very inauthentic ways? They can't justify why they like the things they do.
I mean, like, I've had varying levels of like materialism problems with it, So like, I mean, I've been on that edge at some point when we were playing Pokemon. Like, it'd be like, man, I'm not going to get anything but the nicest of this because like I just justified it as like I'm going to use it. I don't want to, but really, and then like the amount that I actually used it didn't make any sense. So I've still got like 10 colors of dragon shields that have only been shuffled like 10 times at most. So yeah, so myself, but
you had some notes here about the peanut butter. We can talk about this because we didn't mention this. Let's try to let's solve this debate here, man. Because if we're talking about, I've heard shit about peanut butter. I've heard other kids make fun of other kids because they were using store-bought peanut butter. So this falls in line with the Pop-Tarts as well. Kids are getting, ridiculed because of their store-bought peanut butter. But
how do you want?
If there is an ideal peanut butter, a status symbol peanut butter, and we're looking at our big brands, right? Because they're the ones creating all this marketing, for commodity fetishism. So which would it be, Jif or Skippy? If we're thinking of which one says luxury, status.
Jif Natural.
Jif Natural.
Yeah. I like it. The reason why.
I like Jif Natural too, but do you think that would be the one that would say status, the natural Jif?
I agree. I agree with what I said because Skippy has really, I loathe I don't even want to look at it. I hate the Skippy logo. The letters are small.
Yeah.
They're not even like at a 45-degree angle. They're rounded. And Jif has this nice like Art Deco 3 letters. I don't know why you were spelling it with 4.
True.
Just nice. Looks nice in the cabinet. You're like, man, that looks nice. Like it's a nice looking product.
It does. It has a classic, original look.
I don't think they've changed it because they don't have to. Skippy just looks like
They don't.
Skippy looks like Skippy looks like the off-brand shit. I'm just saying the logo. Yeah.
They landed on the perfect logo right from the get-go. I bet if I type, I don't know how old Jif is, but if I type in Jif peanut butter 1960, let me see what comes up here. Let me see if they've always stuck to.
Well,
yeah, they got some glass. I see some 70s and 60s glass jar Jif, and it does still have the 3 letters with the 3 colors, a little different.
Yeah.
A little different fonts.
well, you also have like the Peter Pan, but I don't even think that's the major contender. It's Jif or Skippy. But
Yeah, I don't think people would identify Peter Pan.
Yeah.
It's actually the OG.
It is.
Peter
it is.
Pan's.
That's what I grew up on. But I'm going to tell you how I landed on Jif. Now that you've asked, is when my wife and I, we were then boyfriend and girlfriend at the time. I was like 18, 19. She was 17. We moved out, and our first night we had no money, but we had to go to Walmart, and we made like just that first night essentials. Got like canned beans, dried rice, some like bottled water, some distilled water, basic spices, bread, and peanut butter. And so I remember this, like the Jif was more expensive than the Skippy, like per ounce, and like we were going very cheap. Fuck, we were getting dried beans, or dried rice at that point, If we really want to go crazy, we would have got dried beans. And so anyway, I'm like, well, it looks like we got to go with the Skippy. It's cheaper, just more cost effective. And we picked it up. And I guess in Southwest Missouri, Jif was the contender because Skippy sits on the shelf longer, and the oils had already started to separate, which is natural. Nothing wrong with it. But Jif hadn't done that yet. Yeah. Like I was like, well, we're getting the Jif, And then so ever since then, we've just gotten Jif natural.
Yep, so always went with the natural. You went with the natural that day as well.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I prefer the natural as well when I buy Jif. I will say this though, I am not a peanut butter loyalist by any mean. I will follow whatever is on sale that week, and I will buy in accordance with that. Sometimes I buy Skippy, sometimes I buy Jif. Peter Pan's never on sale for me, so unfortunately I never get to partake in that. But either way, I'm either going Jif natural or I'm going Skippy natural if I'm buying one of the main 2 contenders.
I don't even fuck with Skippy, but hey, Skippy, if you want to sponsor this podcast, I'll gladly, I'll change my tune. I love your logo. And that was finished.
That is authenticity right there.
Yeah, right there. I'll fucking sell out that fucking Skippy shit. But anyway, we got to talk about the other nut butters, man. You got almond butter. You got sun butter. I'm sure there's other cashew butter. Don't do cashew butter.
I haven't had cashew butter, so I don't know what to say about that one. But I'll fuck with some almond butter, and I'll definitely do some sunflower butter. I like the earthiness of sunflower butter.
Yeah, but that's a treat. That shit's expensive.
Sunflower butter? Oh, it's not that bad. Almond butter is way more expensive than sunflower butter, man. Sunflower, where are we at? I want to know now because it's probably been a good 6 months since I bought some sunflower butter. Maybe there's been.
Well, while you're at it, I have a very personal history.
So, some butter like $6.
Yeah, I have a personal history.
I guess a couple dollars
with almond
more.
butter. I used to work at a natural food store in the bulk department, and one of my primary responsibilities was to keep the almond butter machine filled with almonds, and always had to take that thing apart and fix it because it always broke. And so anyway, I'd always put a little bit on my.
Did you lick off the
Well, I mean,
the residue
off the gloves. Oh man, there's a big glob on my glove. I'm gonna have to take this to the back. I take it to the back and so that's how I got my fixing on almond butter. Now I can't afford it, but anyway.
Yeah, that's just real expensive.
Off-brand Pop-Tarts, man. Sorry, man. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings that bad. I just didn't want Pop-Tarts at the time.
Hey, it was a good idea. It brought up some hurt that I was dealing with.
Yeah. Well,
now it got
that you like handed it to me in a Walmart. Like I had to dig it out of a Walmart bag, and it's like it had probably been in your car, and like I doubt it was an entire pastry. I'm sure it had been broken up and smushed. I didn't want that shit. So
Probably, man. And what you're saying? It'll make a turd.
yeah, it'll make a turd. So
Okay, well, it's time to move on for some middle ass.
all right, man. So at the time of writing this, I had all but weaned scrolling through the shorts of YouTube, and I've done it. I'm completely off of it. But right before I'd deleted YouTube off my phone, which is very annoying, Google. Every now and then when I have to authenticate, I've got to read-down YouTube and authenticate using the YouTube app on my phone. And then as soon as I do, YouTube's like, hey, here's some shorts. You want to scroll? I'm like, fuck you. And I delete it right away. But anyway, right before I made the conscious decision to not have YouTube on my phone and to stop scrolling away my wife while I took a shit at work, I happened across this channel, and I think I'm going to decide not to say the name of the channel, but we'll just describe it in great detail. So, does that sound fair?
Sure.
And so, it was this middle-aged man, and he described himself and portrayed himself as a middle-class man. You know, he worked that 9 to 5, and he was like, come on, guys, just do that daily grind. Keep going to work. You know, life is great. You don't have to do all these wonderful vacations. You don't have to have that picturesque, house, and your life's going to just be awesome. And I was like, dude, that's pretty cool. You know, he's saying, hey, your ordinary life is enough. You know, there's beauty in the ordinary. And I was like, cool. I can get behind this guy. He was just sticking it to all those fucking fake Instagram photos, Facebook posts, just all the showy stuff. And I was like, cool. This is a cool guy. So I clicked on his channel and I just watched a couple of them. I wanted to see what he was about. And then, man, I just something clicked. I had this weird flashback. I get this flashback all the time, or I'm out at recess in 5th grade. And I remember the lesson of the day, but that's not what this is about. But it is what it's about. But anyway, I'm at recess. I hadn't been doing my homework. I had F's, and my dad comes driving over the hill. We're out at recess, and I see his yellow Volkswagen. And I was like, fuck, I've been found out. But anyway, before that, there was a lesson in English. And I remember that day where they're like, hey, don't take any reading any sort of media without trying to understand the reasoning for it. Are they trying to persuade you? Are they trying to inform you? Mm-hmm. Basically just try to get down to the roots of anyone's argument. And so that's what I tried to do. And I was like, this guy has to have a fucking ulterior motive. So I'm just scrolling and I'm just looking very closely. And it became very clear. It was like, man, this guy really likes poppy drinks. Those are kind of expensive. But whatever, everyone has their thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, that guy really likes those factor meals. Hey, that's cool. Good on him, And it's like, man, he seems to really like this protein shake. He's drinking it every day. He makes a point of it. And I was like, this guy is just fucking, using the middle class, the ideology of the middle class to turn a quick buck. And I'm like, fuck this guy. I'm mad. I'm like, this guy's not middle class. And then I start scrolling through, and maybe I'm a little jealous. If I sound a little jealous, a little petty, just stop me. And it's then there's one where he's like, hey guys, check this out. I bought a used Denali SUV. Hey, I'm middle class. I'm still down in the trenches with you guys. Just keep on chugging along. I go to work every day. I'm not my own boss yet. And it's just keep it going though. And then I was like, fuck this guy, because it's he made it, man. He was the fucking tippy top of the middle class, what we all strive to be. And I'm down here at the bottom, and I'm just like, man, fuck this guy. And I got off script, but anyway, I was just pissed. And a lot of this stuff I had to strike out because I thought it was too petty. And I brought it up, the Denali SUV, and I'm like, man, screw this. And I wrote it down, and you came down to visit. And I was like, man, I'd kind of mentioned it, but I didn't tell you what to look for. And you're like, yeah, let's just watch it. And this guy won because we wasted 45 minutes of our life checking out all the shit.
We did.
So really, who got the last laugh? This guy, we just fucking...
Yeah, he's getting the views.
Yeah.
So.
We bumped him up on the algorithm.
We didn't click on any links or anything yet.
No, nothing like
no
that.
affiliate links.
But anyway, so, tell me what you saw there, just real quickly.
Man, I just saw the very subtle marketing that was embedded, right? It was, they didn't want us to realize that he was selling us something, but he was. And every action he was, the product was always kind of center frame in everything. If he opens the fridge, the fact that the camera was perfectly focused, that the Factor logo was detailed and focused for a text.
Right.
In a large shot like that, the chance that that logo would be perfectly in focus so we knew exactly what he was eating. And these were very name brand products that are kind of like internet marketing types of products that they love to have influencers, pretend like they're part of their daily life. And that's the sneakiest part right now when it comes to marketing, is that you don't know that you're even being marketed to, right? It's how can you make it so seamless that you can sell an idea of a lifestyle and not know that you're being sold to. And you see this all the time. An example that I had heard a podcast discussing was people that make organization videos. They'll make a video that'll say like, let's organize my filthy car. And they'll make a YouTube video like that, and they go through and they just organize the hell out of their car. But the whole time they're organizing, they're like, and I got this product from Amazon, this thing does this, and this is where my trash is going to go. And the whole thing is just selling one thing after another after another. It's a perpetual infomercial. And that's what I saw in his videos, was a guy, one, pretending to be middle class. And what does middle class even mean? Like we talked about that in our last episode. The lifestyle he was selling, I would say, is not middle class. And if it is middle class, it would be the uppermost echelon of middle class.
Right.
I mean, I don't know where he's living at, but man, that lifestyle would have been like $150K minimum to achieve what he's selling us.
Yeah.
And I don't consider $150K middle class because the median salary in our country is less than $50,000 right now. So what is the actual true middle of our country? It's not that much. It's not above six figures.
Yeah, and if I had to guess, based off the AstroTurf yard, he's probably in like Southern California or Arizona or Utah, which is a lot of money. So, yeah.
Yeah. And it wasn't even just the products. It was the way he presented himself, like, he was just acting like he was so stressed out the entire time at his job and all like these videos, like he's just grinding away. And even that, though, that's selling an idea of like, you just have to keep working hard and then you can have these things. And that's what it's about. Right. It's just about hard work. And even that, like, you're tricking us to just say grind for somebody else.
And that's exactly my point. So when we get past all the very obvious, just like item, drops, the label drops, all the brands that he was just, strutting around. It's like, let's just take a deeper bit. And I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist or anything like that, but it was like just a form of propaganda to promote that ideology, just to keep, to just like romanticizing that daily grind, like you mentioned, like, hey, this is good. And it's like, man, this guy's fit. He's got a nice vehicle. He's got all this nice shit that like we buy as treats. Like, of course we want to work and aspire to be him. So we're like, yeah, we're going to do what he's doing, which is like just driving, it's like, we're just greasing that American hamster wheel is what he's like. Yeah. And it's like, I'm not saying that's what he's doing intentionally, but it's just like, just really like,
but even that, right? We're just grinding to consume.
Right.
It's a auspicious consumption that our life is, we work, or rather we live for our work instead of working so that we can live. Mm-hmm. Like, that's it. We're being told that we should love the grind mindset, that should be something that we should strive for. And if you're not loving working, you're lazy.
Right.
because you don't want to devote your life to that.
And the other thing was like, he's like, this is the cookie cutter life that you should be having. And this like house was pristine. He like did dumb shit. Like, I'm going to take this pack and play and I'm going to set it up in the morning for my wife at 5-8. No, you're not. You're going to leave that shit out, or you should. You know, like, why would you put something away at 10 p.m., go to bed at 11 p.m., wake up at 5 a.m., break? You know, you're not going to do that shit. No one does that. And it was just like, he's just like cutting out all the shit that was just like all the human elements, you know, all our anxieties, everything. Mm-hmm. And it's like, he's just like giving us nothing but the best. And it was like, dude, stop throwing that load of shit down our face, you know, like. And it's fine. Like, I'm not telling them to like put his personal stuff up on there. Like, he never pictures his wife or anything like that, which is probably.
But it insults our intelligence, right? Because he's assuming we're watching this and just believing.
Right.
It. And I'm sure there are people that do.
Right.
So he's clearly, he thinks we're dumb enough to not see what he's doing in these videos. And he's not the only one. Obviously, this is a big issue. This is happening all the time with influencers. And we traced back his videos then, right? We traced back and we looked at some of his old stuff because he wasn't always this guy.
No, he was trying to.
And we saw a completely different lifestyle.
He was trying to do the. Hey, look at me! I'm on this nice vacation. Here's our vacation vlog and all this shit. Like, he was just trying different things, and he found something that stuck.
Throwing pasta at the wall until it sticks, right? He was just trying ideas of what kind of things, what are the gimmicks I can do to break into this social media influencer market,
right?
And make this my career so that I can have my lifestyle,
right?
So that was interesting to see that he didn't even bother to take down those videos because he's probably still making some type of ad revenue
off of them,
even if they're not as successful as his current. He didn't even care to take them down. He wasn't even going to go through that trouble, even though his new brand is more successful because he's still making some money.
Yeah, and like, man, I can't blame a guy for hustling. You know, I'm not to say I'm above taking a couple sponsors, Skippy, you know, whatever your bougie ass pastries are. But what I'm saying is like, just don't fucking like prey on this ideology and just pump a bunch of shit and do it so insultingly. It's just like, and that's why I think he's a dick. Bottom line, it's just like, and it's like, dude, he's probably spending at least 2 hours a day to make a 15-second short. Watch him. He has to stop his phone. And it's like, I feel bad for him in a way because it's like, it's not like it's easy money. It's relatively easy, but it's like
he's setting up these shots perfectly. All of these things.
He's setting up these shots. He's coordinating his sponsors. You know, he's editing these videos. I'm sure he's all worried about the analytics, all his social media feeds.
Yep.
He has a merchandise line. It's like, I mean, he's hustling. There's no denying that. But it's just like, just don't stop selling this bullshit. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So anyway, and this has just been a nice example of how the middle class can just become a product. That's all it is.
Yeah.
That's all it is, really, isn't it? Just one, you know, endless product. Buy this, buy that. Fuck you, guy. I'm gonna call him the middle class man.
Middle class man.
Yeah, I'm jealous of his physique and his car and his house. He's got lots of money.
But you know what? He doesn't put on a suit of armor and fight people.
Not yet.
Once he breaks into that, once he can make some money off that, then sure.
Yeah.
Be making videos.
Well, sweet, man. This has been Middle Class, Middle Ass by Austin. We'll see what Nick's got next.
Okay, next up, it's time for some whiskey wisdom and drunk dialectics.
Weren't we supposed to be drinking during this?
Yeah, we are. Do you have a drink?
No, dude. No. I've had whiskey in the house for like 4 months.
Well, shit. Well, I don't have a drink on me right now either. But if I would, it would be a Moscow Mule, which I could make, but we have already started this segment. So
let's just.
I will not do that. We'll just jump into it.
Sounds good.
Okay, so this is a segment where we talk about some philosophical things, you know, and for today, we're going to be talking about late-stage capitalism and the subscription-based economies that have emerged in the recent decades.
I think.
And this is coming from a personal experience that my wife had because she's in nursing school right now. Went back to school. We went to college and got our bachelor's and graduated in 2014. So we've been out of there for 10 years, but she's back in nursing school to do something else now.
I graduated high school in 2014.
Well, yeah, you're a little younger than me. That's not that big of a difference. But anyways, so she's in nursing school and she needed to get textbooks. And she wanted to buy physical textbooks. Because she wants to be able to physically write in them, take notes, highlight them, take the book with her places without an internet connection or anything.
Forget the book places.
And be able to
have to go back and get it.
Yeah, study from her book when she's at work, because she's working too, and she wanted to be able to take her book with her on her breaks and lunch and read the book and all of that stuff, and maybe buy a used book, because that's an option. You go buy a used textbook, save some money, and maybe when she's done, she can keep it and refer back to it in the future if she needs it. But she's run into the wall because book doesn't exist in anything other than a subscription-based e-text. And she had this happen with several of her books. She can only buy them in a subscription method for 6 months at a time. She pays to rent it, and it requires that she has to have her computer with her then, internet connection. It's a whole ordeal to get it out, and she has no physical book. She can't physically highlight, take notes, annotate the way she wants to, and she has no option now to buy a used book because it's only subscription-based, and the book can only be rented from the manufacturer of the book, the publisher of the book. So there's no other markets for it. There's no competition. They can cut out the secondary market. They can have 100% of the market share and monopolize it, charge whatever they want. So the subscription-based method ends up costing as much as actually buying the book, but now you get no physical product in return. So it's very frustrating. Maybe you're younger, so maybe you were used to that being a thing.
No,
but
Matt,
we're not.
I was starting college in 2014. The summer 2014. So
okay. So in 2014, were you able to buy physical books if you?
Yeah. There was a bookstore right across the campus of the community college, and you just would go over there, and you could buy. You'd get the used versions if they had it, and yeah. So that wasn't a thing. So let's talk about this now. Let's talk about subscription-based economies, because this isn't new, apparently. It is broken into the textbook industry, but this has been around for a while. So a subscription-based economy is an evolving business model that's emerged in this late stage of capitalism. They foresaw that this would eventually become where we're at. And basically, it's instead of outright purchasing goods or services, consumers subscribe to reoccurring payments for access to these goods, but you never actually own tangible goods. So obviously, some early companies that applied this are things like Netflix and Spotify, Disney Plus, those types of things. But even software giants like Adobe. I mean, I remember being able to purchase Adobe Photoshop if you wanted to own it when I was in high school, or I could purchase Final Cut Pro or Logic X for audio recording or film recording. I could purchase those. You could purchase the Microsoft Suite, and you'd be fucked if you lost your license and things like that.
Yeah, that would suck, but you would own it, and you can own it indefinitely. You couldn't get the updates, but you still at least owned whatever you had. But now you own nothing with this new subscription-based economy. So the connection between late-stage capitalism and subscription economies. So with the rise of this subscription model, it can be seen as a product of late-stage capitalism because the corporations benefit from locking consumers into this long-term financial commitment. When you choose to stop paying them that monthly fee or yearly fee, however you choose to do it, you just lose access. So you don't own anything. It reduces the need for any physical goods, so they're not having to actually manufacture any product. And you literally become dependent. You're dependent on these larger corporations to keep anything. And when it comes to videos and content like that, I mean, obviously, we're not going to stop listening to music. We're not going to stop consuming videos and watching things. So our choices either go to the thrift store like I do and buy DVDs or pay for this subscription model where you're dependent on these million to billion dollar corporations just so you can continue consuming everyday products. But what makes me very mad is you own nothing, you have nothing to show for it when you decide to no longer be dependent, and you're basically left out on your own.
Yeah. I agree.
So what are your thoughts with it, man? I mean, do you keep up with a lot of subscription-based applications or anything right now, or are you pretty much weeding yourself off?
I'm pretty much weaned off. Right now I'm in a tricky situation with my cell carrier where this long story short, traded my phone in for a new phone, got a good deal on a watch and a phone, and I'm like, cool. I was like, cool, I'm going to actually just drop down my phone plan too to the cheapest unlimited plan and call it good. And then they were like, hey, whoa, your trade-in was dependent on you staying on that phone plan. Got to go back to it. So I'm like, okay, whatever. My Disney Plus was included to it, and I'm like, whatever. It's like $15 more a month, whatever. And I get this. I get I get other services like YouTube Premium, all that shit. It was all bundled in there. I'm like, whatever. I'll go back to it, just because my phone bill was going to go up like $45 without all that. So I was like, yeah, we'll just meet in the middle. We'll call it good. I'll stay on this for another year and we'll reevaluate. Mm-hmm. And now they're like, whoa, you don't get those services back. And I'm like, what the fuck? And they're like, I went back to the phone plan. And they're like, well, yeah, but you were technically grandfathered in at the time and you opted out and now you opted back in and you don't get those services anymore. So yeah, so it's about to get in the nitty gritty. Haven't called them back, but I'm like, what the fuck, guys? Like, I'm about to just be like, fuck it, put me on the bone dry plan. Take the trade-in credit because it's all going to like level out for me to be cheaper for me. Mm-hmm. So anyway, that's where I'm at. I have them. I could do without them, but it's mostly the kids. They like their Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, man. And
yeah, she can find all the seasons.
Yeah, I don't even know if they put it on DVD. I haven't even looked yet. But the problem is they don't like the advertisements on YouTube. So it's like,
yeah, that's the problem. Yeah. And that goes into my next point. It's the control over consumption. So as we have, let's say we have content like what your kids want to watch, and it's not available anymore in a physical representation. So at that point, you are forced to have these services to use it. So they're taking away our purchasing power, which is really the power we have as consumers, is deciding what products we want and who we're going to buy them from. But as we get into these monopolies that are producing shows only for streaming services, we are locked into having to use them, just like these textbook companies can force you to rent them and shut out the secondary market. I mean, that sucks. Like, no option for me to sell a product in the future. And they're not the only ones doing it, because video games are the same thing, right? They're trying to push people to buying downloadable versions of games so they can't trade them in for their fucking nickel or whatever that GameStop's going to give them.
Right. The nickel was worth a lot.
But damn it, let them get those nickels.
Yeah.
So in addition to that, it has a decreased value of the ownership. So from a philosophical standpoint, subscription-based economies encourage short-term thinking as people stop investing in goods or services that they are going to own for the future. So if I know that my mindset is now wrapped around this idea of renting everything, I don't have to care about the quality of the goods being produced anymore, for any goods really, because I'm seeing all of my goods as not something that I'm going to keep for a long time. And I don't have to, like, I'm not investing myself into the relationship with those goods either. If I am renting something, I can just as easily cancel my subscription as I can renew my subscription. So I'm dependent on them to have that product, but they're also dependent on me to stay, which means like we don't really have a relationship with the good anymore. The good is just as easily thrown away as it is acquired. Mm-hmm. So that's going to lead to products that are just shoddy products. We don't have to worry about things that are quality, and that leads into a disposable culture, where people are encouraged to value access over long-term use, and just an overall lack of care for objects and services and content. So one of the things I think about is how people care so little for the artists of the music that they listen to. I had students fill out like a get to know you sheet at the beginning of the year, and I asked them for some of their recommendations for their favorite music, and I would go listen to it. And I had so much trouble from kids being able to name any artist they like.
Really?
Because all they listen to is streamed music, and they have no idea who it is.
They don't even stop to look at who it is.
They don't even stop. And that's what I'm seeing is all of these 13, 14-year-olds. When I was a 14-year-old, I knew all these bands I liked. I knew so much about them. I knew what they looked like,
Right.
and I'd go to see them. But what I'm finding now is that kids are so detached because of this disposable culture. There's no value in craftsmanship anymore. They don't give a shit about who the artist is or what the entire album is. They're not going to sit down and listen to an album. They don't appreciate the vision of the artist. They don't even care to know their names.
Jeez.
To them, the artist and the song is just a background noise that they play passively while they do some other activity. It's just noise in an algorithm, and it can just as easily be skipped over if they get even mildly disinterested. If I get disinterested in a song, I can't just skip it over when I put on an entire vinyl album. I have to move the needle. There's a lot of work that goes into changing a song. So I'm more likely I'm just going to listen to it. I'm going to listen to what the artist has to tell me because that was their intention.
Right. And you don't always, and my thing is I don't always understand or catch the lyrics. So I'll be like, hey, I'm going to go and look up these lyrics and I'm going to have the lyrics in front of me and I'm going to listen.
Yeah. Okay. So I briefly discussed the notion of commodity fetishism earlier, this idea that, goods can become an idea more than the utility of the good itself. So now I'm going to expand on that to include another philosopher, Jean Baudrillard, in his text, Simulacra and the Hyperreality. And he has this notion of how our consumer goods not only function as material items, but also as signs that construct our identity as people. So he suggests that these objects, they don't have an inherent value. Rather, they take on symbolic meaning through the branding and cultural significance. And then we use this branding and cultural significance to curate our ideas based on the accumulation of these signs. This leads us to a sense of self that's increasingly defined by the consumption of these symbols. So, for example, I have a bookshelf that is filled with books that I've read, and they've influenced my practice as a teacher or as a student of philosophy when I was in college. And from time to time, I still go back and I revisit those books. And I'd be very saddened to let those books go because I've chosen to keep the ones I have. I've curated that because in a way, it is a representation of part of my identity of things that I've connected with. I also have a collection of vinyl records, and I enjoy listening to them from beginning to end. And I like to experience, as I mentioned before, the artist's entire vision when I listen to that album because the artist also chose to curate those songs and they thoughtfully chose the order that they're going to put those songs in. So I also want to honor that when I listen to that. And this supports this idea. I'm curating an identity of who I am based on these goods. And yes, we don't want to say that we're just, consumers and nothing else. But a lot of what we consume is we spend our life gathering these things that are representations of who we are. Maybe it is authentically. We want them for an authentic way, or we could want these things for inauthentic reasons. But if we do choose to take on these consumer goods, even for authentic reasons, they do eventually accumulate and become a representation of us. So on a final note, today, this really came kind of full circle because we were driving home from this little local butcher where I get meat from like farms and stuff. And we passed by an estate sale. And my wife asks, hey, can we stop at this estate sale? She wants to look in there. And the baby's sleeping in the car. So I sit in the car with the baby and say, yeah, you can go in there and check out this estate sale. So she goes in there and she comes back and she's actually crying when she comes back out of this estate sale. I'm like, hey, are you okay? What's wrong? And she said, I felt like a ghost in this house of someone else's life that's no longer living. So the entire neighborhood had ascended like scavengers on the carcass of this life past. This is a house where someone had lived there and they died and they were old and they had no one else. They had no family, no one to take anything. So now everyone else in the neighborhood is just clearing out this place, right? This accumulation of artifacts that defined their sense of self is all that was left behind. So I ask, what will be left behind to define the lives of consumers who are made slave to subscription economies? Nothing. Nothing but a series of automatic withdrawals from the deceased's bank account, because the convenience of auto pay does not give a fuck whether you are living or dead.
Amen.
So there's my thoughts on late stage capitalism and subscription economies. That got fucking serious, but
it did.
That really hit me. That really hit me with the estate sale today.
Yeah, no, I have a similar thing. You know, like I take electronics and give them new life, specifically iPods. And I came across, I bought, like I said, probably presumably from an electronic estate sale. Or, I mean, you know what I mean? Not an electronic, but a internet-based estate sale online. And I got these series of iPods, and they weren't wiped. And call it nosy, or I just find it interesting to go through these iPods if they have content and try to gather what kind of person they were. What kind of music did they listen to? You know, like, did this guy have a bunch of pirated music? It's very, you know, it becomes clear, like, is it all corrupt? And I came across one that it was like this couple, like, their entire, like, retirement was on this iPod Touch.
Wow.
9,000 pictures. And, like, I went through each one on this shitty iPod second generation. Like, it was so, like, it took me 4 hours just swiping, you know, spend a little bit of time. Like, I mean, I wanted to give each picker some time, but it was like, it was interesting. And, like, I did feel like a stranger, you know, looking in onto their life, you know, and it was interesting. I mean, I tried to pay them their respects to looking through, trying to understand them, you know, and like trying to, like, simulate some kind of patterns, and, you know, like, they had a good retirement, that's for sure. And, you know, I sold the iPod. I didn't wipe it, you know, so maybe someone else will hopefully, you know, and I think they did, because I got a message and like, hey, was this your iPod? Do you want the content that was on there? I was like, no, it's not my iPod, but you know, give it a look if you can. So it was cool. Yeah. So cool, similar thing in a virtual, in a digital medium, but yeah, I can definitely, you know, you get that all the time, and you see it too. I mean, and it's sad that it was somebody's life. You know, I think your wife said that rather poetically, you know, but you see it whenever we went to this consignment sale. You know, no one's dying. These are living people just trying to sell the shit they don't want at on a consignment. But still, the way people behave, you know, like, they're like, all right, line up. And everyone's like looking around the corner, trying to see where they're going to go first, you know, and then they're like, go. And everyone, like, you know, walks very fastly, you know, like, they're not going to be that goofball that lifts up a foot and starts running. But then they're going to go as fast as they can, keeping both feet on the ground. And it's just like,
isn't it remarkable just how close we are to animals in that way? I mean, we are animals, but the fact that we are so close to scavengers, but because we're so tied to consumerism, that we have just replaced, right? The physical nourishment of flesh has been replaced with goods, with products.
Right. With used goods. And, you know,
remarkable.
With the deal, you know, the hunt of the deal. We're going out, we're gathering for our families, we're providing by just getting that deal. And I was there. I did the exact same thing, man. Like, I went there looking for magnet tiles, because you saw how fucking cool those things are. And just so Christmas presents for the girls. And then I did a quick sweep, you know, of all the toys. Didn't see them. I'm like, fuck, this is a bust, you know. And ended up, like, getting not the Mega Blocks, not the Legos, the ones in between. I don't know what they're called. I, like, had 2 big bags of those, and I was just going to cut my losses. And then I'm like, just like giving it one glance. I hear someone say, oh, look, magnet tiles. And I'm like, huh? You know, like, I like fucking zone in and like creep over. I'm on the other side, just pretending to look at these fucking, I don't even know what I was, you know, like Mega Blocks. I'm like, oh, these are kind of interesting. I'm like bitch, put those down. You know, like, you don't want to buy those, you know? And then she's like, I'm not even sure if all of them are in here, and they're probably been used. And she sets them down. And I immediately, like, don't even wait for her to go around the corner. I just snatch that shit right in front of her. I'm like, yeah, I got them, you know?
Yeah.
And, so, I mean, I'm like that too, you know? But I could see why it'd be upsetting for your wife to see people behaving in somebody's home, you know, like that, over the things that they cherish, the things that they spent their entire life trying to collect. And if they had a reason and they had a story, and those are now all gone. The history of that item is gone. It's gotten a fresh slate saying, I bought this at this estate sale in 2024. You know, and that's it.
Yep.
So maybe they'll go a little further. It was Mr. Watson who lived at this house, you know. I talked to him a few times. One time I mowed his yard when he was sick. Maybe that's the story, but that's all it's going to get. And that's saddening. And I would see why our digital-based items, our subscription-based, really amounts to nothing. And, you know, I'm aware of it. I try to make conscious strides to not acquire stuff, but to build things and to have things that have a story that hopefully are not cumbersome to my daughters, even though I have this big 8-foot wooden desk that would be a pain in the ass for anyone else to move. But, you know, something that's meaningful. Like when I make furniture, I will write things on the bottom and always hide it. Like, hey, I love you, Jenny, or the name of either like everybody in the family and the date that I made it, or like something that was going on. Just like a little Easter egg, you know, and hopefully to give it that story. My dad gave me made sure that I got a Mickey Mouse for my grandmother. Mm-hmm. And when he did so, maybe it was my great aunt that did it, but it was my great grandmother's phone. And she wrote down how my great grandmother acquired it, that she knew to the best of her knowledge, how it changed hands back to her, and how they kept it in operating, how, you know, just a brief synopsis of this phone's history. And then on this date, it was given to Austin Miller. And that's cool. And it's on the bottom of the phone, out of sight, out of mind. But should, you know, any future generations, or as it gets picked up in an estate sale, hopefully they see that. And, you know, the story is told at least. Not of the item, but of the people.
Know that there was a human, you know, that connected with the good. Especially with the craft, too. Like, things like you were saying, like with your furniture and things you make, like making little notes to let people know that human hands produced this good.
Right.
And that this good is more than just the value of the good itself, but it's the work of the human that touched it.
Right, exactly. So, well, man. I think we got an episode.
Yeah, I think we do.
If you enjoyed the show, please consider leaving a rating or emailing us at bffcpodcast@gmail.com. Best Friend Fight Club is a bi-weekly podcast about two friends, the best of friends, that have found meaning in kicking each other's asses and the pursuit of a meaningful life in the modern world. Oh, and of course, conversations about the dicks they encounter. See you next time.